So this video now is using a whetstone on your chisels or plane blades. The process for a plane blade or a chisel is the same. Equally important are several things on them. On a carpenter's chisel, the most important part of it is the back. The back needs to be absolutely flat and polished without any scratches. The reason for that is that if you were to look at these edges under a microscope, although they look perfect now and sharp, but again, under the microscope, this will look almost like a handsaw, the blade on a handsaw. It'll be serrated. So the idea is to eliminate the serrations as much as possible, making it a smooth edge. So the back is very important for that because it also allows you to control the tool in a lot of the ways that it's used. Now, chisel and plane blades, of course, are ground first, and the stone will produce a hollow ground. It's not good to have a real deep hollow on it because what that does, it really weakens the edge because there's no support behind it. Now, on a mortise chisel that takes heavy pounding, and it's used almost like a pry bar a little bit, because what you do is you hit it, piercing the wood, and then you level that waste out those chips. So it needs a very strong edge, otherwise it would collapse immediately. So you never hollow ground a mortise chisel. It's just a flat grounded surface. Again, the back is important. The angles vary depending on what you use them on. Softwoods, you need a long, sharp bevel. And for hardwoods, you need a steeper bevel. Will cut better and it will last longer. Now, again, the back is important, and you can see on this one how the back is really like a mirror in this area. It still has the machining scratches here from the factory, but as you wear it out, you lap the back so it's a mirror polish like that without any scratches. The Japanese actually go a step further in their chisels. Their chisels, by the way, are much superior to anything that the West makes. They're not only a lot harder, the backs are hollow grounded, because this way it's easier to keep it flat than to worry about a large surface. So these chisels are actually it's a lot quicker to sharpen and maintain, and easier to maintain them because of that hollow ground. And as you lap the backs, the flat part keeps moving backwards. So you always have that little area there which is flat, and that's all you need. You don't need to be flat all the way back, but on these chisels, on the Western chisels, you don't have a choice but to do a big area. These make it a lot easier to sharpen, and they stay sharp longer also because the metal, they're a lot harder than the Western chisels are. Again, you got a hollow ground, and again, that should not be very hollow because it reduces the strength of the edge. All right, now we go to the whetstone. Okay, so these whetstones here are man-made. They're Norton's, and basically the system has three stones: a coarse, a medium, and a fine. I almost never use the coarse or the medium. They're usually used when somehow accidentally you nick a chisel or a plane blade and you just want to take that out quickly without going to the grinder, so you use that part. The part used the most is the fine one, which is the India type Norton stone. And again, these stones are softer than the Arkansas stone that I used before with the knives. I usually try to avoid using knives on these. Again, this stone is a long stone, and the idea when using these stones is not to start hollowing them out in the center, both either way, which you would do if you concentrate on using just the middle of the stone. The idea is to use the ends more than the middle, because automatically you always wear the middle out more, whether you realize it or not. It happens. Keep them wet. This is on a kerosene bath, so all you do on this one is very simple. And soak it in there, bring it back up, and that keeps it lubricated and also washes away any medical particles that you may have on it. If you don't do that, if you keep them really wet, they start clogging with the material that comes out of the stone and the metal particles, and eventually it will not cut anymore. So it's very important to keep them clean and well lubricated all the time. So I'm going to do this chisel. So what you do is, again, you got a hollow ground on it. So when you raise it up and down, you feel where it touches the edge, and you feel where it touches the heel. You can hear that sound. So the idea then is just to raise it slightly so it touches the edge, and now you keep it at that angle. Your right hand keeps it at that angle. Your left hand puts a little pressure on it, and you start sharpening. Now, it doesn't matter what motion you do. The idea again is to utilize the whole stone and the ends more than the center. So I usually use all kinds of motions. A lot of times, circular motion is my favorite. So here we go. Again, I stay on the edges as much as I can. And go the other way now too if you want. I usually don't stay in the middle very long. Just keep it around the edges. You can circle one way, circle the other way, do an figure eight motion. You can go straight back and forth like a lot of people do. It's actually easier to keep the angle if you don't do that. You're better going on a circle or in a figure eight. And again, whether you go to the right or the left, depends what corner of the stone you are, because you want to cover the whole stone with each sharpening. This is a stone that cuts really very well. You can hear by the sound. And unlike the natural stone, these stones are dead even in any area of the surface. The natural stone will not cut the same way on every part of its surface. All right, so I took a little bit too long here just to demonstrate. Usually it's a lot quicker than that. So when you raise it now and you run your finger on the back, you'll feel that burr that was just created by sharpening it. So the idea now is you take the chisel, and this is why it's important that it's flat and the stone is flat. Because if the stone is not flat, it's going to start grinding the back of the chisel in a curve. And then basically you're ruining the chisel when that happens. So the stone needs to be flat. You hold a flat on the stone like that, and you just go back and forth or in a slightly circular motion a couple times. That's all you need, because if the stone is flat and the chisel is flat, the edge is already gone. The burr is already gone. If the stone is flat or the chisel is not flat, you're going to be doing that forever, feeling it, and the burr is still there. So then now, again, just like the knives, you just want to keep reducing that burr, moving it from one side to the other. Eventually comes off. Back of the chisel flat, always flat, and you only have to do the area that's polished. Again, back to the edge, Do that motion so you hear it at the edge. You do that in a circular motion, a little bit like a half a circle. If the burr comes out faster, back. And that's it, it's done. So now we could either leave it this way, or we can go to a strap. That's what I usually do. You can use a leather strap, or you can use your pants on your thigh area, which is the same way. A lot of times you'll see old timers just do that. Essentially, it's the same thing. What they're doing is they're burnishing the edge and getting whatever little bits of that burr is there off. You can use a strap. It's a leather strap. And again, you're just polishing that edge. Just going in one direction, away from the edge. And you can do the back a little bit. Just draw it towards you at an angle, otherwise it'll cut the strap. And that's it. Should be able to shave with it now. Without any effort. My wife always yells at me every time we go out with short sleeves because she says that I look a mess. So anyway, so that's how you do this. Very simple. It just takes a little practice. And again, you got to not only got to worry about the chisel, you got to worry about the stone, which is very important, because if the stone is not straight and well maintained, your chisels will not also. Like with the knives, if you're doing a very narrow chisel, like for example this mortise chisel. Now I won't take this chisel to that stone because it's too narrow and I'm not able to use the edges on that stone because they're fixed into that system. So what I do is I would take it to one of these other stones, the natural stones, the Arkansas. Use a translucent one that cuts more. And I would take it to the edge of the stone. Again, because you don't want to have that very narrow surface ruin the face of the stone. And of course this one is not that, it's a ½ inch, so it's not that bad, but still I would use the edge of the stone on it. And again, the same thing. This one has no hollow ground, but you just raise it up to the bevel and that's it. On this one, of course, you need to, there's not a lot of room to go in a circle. You can still do it, but I would basically just go back and forth because of the narrow surface. This is only a 1-inch surface on the edge of this one. And again, stay on the edges more. Usually every other time I also flip the stone around so you're not favoring one end more than the other one. You can go in a little bit of a circle here. And again, the same thing, the burr is there. You just keep it flat. Remove the burr. back and forth a couple of times. Ordinarily on the backs you just have to really do it once or twice. And it's done. And it is sharp. I'm not going to try to shave with this one because I may hurt myself.